Game week 10 starts on Friday. So today we'll be having a look, a bit of a deep dive into my team at the moment. We'll have a review very quickly of how I got on in game week 9. But most importantly, we'll be looking ahead at my potential transfers. Who are those players I'm potentially buying going into game week 10? My captaincy and my team selection. What is up, everyone? FPL Harry here, and today it is game week 10 team selection time. Of course, we have a Friday night deadline. There will be a deadline stream on Friday evening, 2 hours before the game week does close, to go through all of your questions. So today we're going to walk you through what I'm going to do with my team, I think, this week. Before we dive in, 2,000 likes on these videos is going to be the aim this time. Subscribe if you are new around here as well. And let's dive in. It was another green arrow, so back-to-back green arrows having played my wildcard. Maybe not as big as some of you others who maybe got your captaincy decision a little bit better if you decided to captain Son or Mo Salah over Erling Haaland this week, but I cannot complain. Still happy with how my team is performing. 86 points. Moved me from 575k up 150,000 places to 425k. Little bit disappointing that Udogie came off, but pretty pleased with how things went on Monday night with both Son and Maddison in here. However, of course, it is the start of the Arsenal fixture run. I'm also looking at Tsimikas. There are plenty of players with fixtures that start to look very nice from game week 10 that I'm considering buying into my team this week. Those potential transfers for me this week. There are really three main potential transfers that I could do with my team this week. The first one is one that I think has been spoken about quite a lot, and this is getting Bukayo Saka into our teams in place of Son Heung-min. I don't have the money in the bank this week to go and do James Maddison up to Bukayo Saka, and I don't think there's any other transfer I really want to do this week that would free up the money to do that. I could sell Diaby, but he has Luton at home this week, so I would really want to go and postpone that transfer a little bit later. So if I do want Bukayo Saka this week, it will have to be Son Heung-min out. Now, Son's goal and assist on Monday night, despite not actually being that involved in the game, is a little bit of a concern going and selling him. I do think Son is a great long-term hold for me and for any of you as well. So I don't really think that that is what I will end up doing, but it is definitely something that is on my radar. Then the second one is potentially selling James Maddison, but downgrading him. I do think selling James Maddison in the next couple of weeks anyway is going to be a transfer that I'm going to make to go and buy Bukayo Saka, but I could do it in a sort of roundabout way. I do think Maddison and Diaby will leave my team to go and get potentially Bukayo Saka and a cheaper option. If I sell Maddison this week, I think I might end up buying Mitoma. Over the next 2 weeks, Maddison has Crystal Palace away, Chelsea at home, whereas if you look at the next two for Mitoma, plus actually the next 4 as well, are really nice. Now, I know straight away the complaints are going to be, Harry, what about rotation for Brighton? However, Mitoma did not play at all. He didn't even travel on international duty during the last international break. So he had 2 weeks off then. They are also not in the cup at all. So they will have a free midweek after game week 10. So he will not play in that one either. They only have 2 midweek games between the last international break and the next international break. So basically the next 4 fixtures that they do have. So actually, when I look at it, I think the rotation is probably going to be a little bit less than maybe we first feared, particularly with someone like Mitoma. And with the lack of options they've got, with the injuries that they're suffering like Solly March, they might just not have the ability to go and rotate as much as maybe we'd have thought they were. So right now, I do think Mitoma is a good option, and I think he'll outscore Maddison over the next 2. The final one is going and buying Tsimikas. Now, this could take place for either Udogie or Dan Burn, but Udogie did go off slightly early. I think he'll be fine for game week 10, but he did go off with a little bit of fatigue, and he is a little bit more expensive than Dan Burn, so it does free up a little bit more money than if I was to go and sell Dan Burn. The Tsimikas fixtures coming up are nice. I would want to do it this week if I do decide to go and buy him, because if I don't get him for Forest at home and Luton away in the next 2, I've probably missed the boat a little bit of going and buying him. He's risen up to 4.5. I think he'll continue to rise again, so I do need to decide early on if I'm going to go and buy him, because if I don't buy him this week, I think it will be too late. So to have a look at what this means about my potential lineup and where I think the transfers are going to go. Of course, 2 free transfers, 0.1 million in the bank, sat just outside the top 400k, hoping for another green arrow this week. Starting in goal, Areola takes his place. He is going to start Everton at home. No brainer really there with Turner going away to Liverpool. Moving into defence, I do have a bit of debate. I am definitely going to start Cash against Luton. I'm definitely going to start Gabriel against Sheffield United. It is just Udogie and Dan Burn that I have a little bit of debate about. Of course, Charlie Taylor is going to be last on my bench despite playing against Bournemouth. Udogie away at Crystal Palace on Friday night. Burn away against Wolves. Now, Wolves have failed to score this season in just one game, whereas Crystal Palace are a much better team at home than they are away. Plus, there is a little bit of doubt about Udogie. However, the attacking threat for Udogie means I am planning on starting him at the moment. I don't think Tsimikas will come into my team. If he does, then I will be benching whoever it is that I decide to keep. But at the moment, I think I will not make a defensive transfer and I will start Udogie. Then moving into my midfield, it is good time. I'm going to keep Diaby. I'm not massively fond of him. And actually, I think the past couple of performances have been a little bit disappointing. His positioning and his role in the Villa team has changed a little bit over the past couple of games. But I have to keep him for Luton. Salah is in there at the moment, of course. Forest at home. He's not going anywhere. Very happy that he is in my lineup. Son as well, I do plan on keeping. And Jared Bowen, finally the good fixtures are starting for him. So hopefully Everton at home, he can get something. This does mean my planned transfer of one transfer this week. I will roll the other transfer is Maddison to Mitoma. I don't plan on making the transfer until probably on my deadline stream on Friday evening in case there's something that does decide to change my mind. But I do think that I will want to sell Maddison anyway to go and buy Bukayo Saka, and then in a couple of weeks I will sell Diaby after his good couple of fixtures that he's got of Luton and Forest, and then I can go and potentially upgrade him and go and buy Bukayo Saka. This means up front it is Erling Haaland still and it is Ollie Watkins still. In terms of captaincy, for me, Son, Salah and Watkins, to be honest, all could get it. But I think I'm going to go with the explosive, consistent returns of Mo Salah at the moment. Ollie Watkins is very close behind, is currently getting the vice-captaincy armband. But just in terms of underlying data and because he's on penalties as well, Mo Salah gets the armband, whereas Ollie Watkins, of course, is not on penalties either. So, a little bit of an added segment, something that I think a lot of you have asked me about over the past couple of weeks. To make these videos a little bit longer, I try to keep my videos as short and concise as possible, but to show you what my transfers will look like in a few weeks. So, this is what my team will look like. I'm using a website called planfpl.com. It is completely free. They have an app as well. I recommend it to everyone. When you watch my streams, I always use it. So go and check it out. It's completely free, not sponsored or anything. But Mitoma coming in for Maddison would give me a team that looks like this for this week. It is a team that I'm really happy with. Going into game week 11, I would be left with 2 free transfers. Again, of course, I'm rolling my second free transfer. The benefit to this as well is I don't keep Maddison, who has Chelsea at home next week, and I actually don't get Saka, who goes away to Newcastle in game week 11. That is a very, very difficult fixture, I think. So it would leave me in a position where actually I wouldn't have to do loads with my team this week. I would probably want to strengthen my defence a little bit though. So I do still really like the idea of bringing Tsimikas into my defence, probably in space of Udogie. It would bolster my team next week where I do have a little bit of an issue with my defensive fixtures. Arsenal playing against Newcastle, plus of course Udogie playing against Chelsea. Cash does keep his nice fixture. That would also free up a little bit of money in going into game week 12. The planned upgrade of Diaby all the way up to Bukayo Saka is the other move that I would plan on doing going into game week 12, and I wouldn't have to have Bukayo Saka in my team for the Newcastle fixture. This, however, does leave me just a little bit short, 0.2 million short of where I want to do. There are plenty of other places that I could downgrade to try and free up the money. I could go with someone other than Tsimikas next week. I could go for someone cheaper. I could downgrade Dan Burn. I could move on Archer as well. There are lots of places that could potentially get me to this transfer plan, and it gives me a front 7 in game week 12 that I really like. So if it was Archer and I did decide to sell him and go with Osula, who is dropped down to 4.3 at Sheffield United, I could line up with a team that looks like this going into game week 12 with a very strong defence, but particularly a very strong front 7. So that is my plan over the next few weeks. It means I don't have to own Saka against Newcastle or Maddison against Chelsea going into game week 11, and I can keep Diaby for his Luton and Forest fixtures over the next 2 and get Mitoma, who I think is a great differential going into this week. So no transfers confirmed, but those are my plans over the next few weeks. Let me know what you think of the additional segment. Thank you all so much for watching. Like before you go. 2,000 likes on this video is the aim. Subscribe if you are new around here as well. Good luck in game week 10 if I don't see you on my deadline stream, but I'll be back again very soon.